The debut of the heavy tank IS-3 at the Berlin Victory Parade on September 7, 1945, sent shockwaves through the Western military world. Its modern design and advanced sloped armor signaled a clear message: the Soviet Union had taken the lead in armored warfare. This sparked deep concern among Britain, France, and the United States, forcing them to urgently rethink their post-war military strategies. Amid this tense atmosphere, Britain launched a brand new heavy tank development program to counter the looming threat from the east. The result was the FV214 Conqueror, a tank engineered to face Soviet armed forces head-on on the European battlefield. Equipped with a powerful 120mm main gun and thick armor, the Conqueror marked the final chapter in heavy tank design before the main battle tank concept became the new standard. The birth of the heavy tank Conqueror began in 1944, when Britain launched the A-45 program to develop a heavy infantry tank to support the Centurion. Built on the A-41 chassis, the new design focused on enhanced armor protection and parts commonality to simplify logistics. After the war, the project was incorporated into the FV200 series, a versatile tank development program aimed at creating multiple specialized variants. Among these, the FV201, weighing 55 tons and armed with an 83.4mm gun, was a highlight. However, by 1949, budget pressures and the emergence of Soviet tanks forced a strategic shift. The decision to replace the 83.4mm gun with a 120mm weapon completely transformed the original design. Two-speed development, the FV201 hull was combined with the Centurion turret, creating the FV221 Carnarvon prototype used for training and testing. After the L1 120mm gun was accepted in 1951, the Conqueror officially debuted in 1955. By 1959, a total of 185 units were produced, including Mark I, Mark II, and converted Carnarvon variants. Officially designed FV214, the Conqueror became a symbol of British military engineering during the early Cold War. Designed to conquer Soviet heavy tanks, it stood out for its powerful firepower and thick armor, though at the expense of mobility. Introduced in 1955, the FV214 Conqueror was regarded as the largest and heaviest tank ever commissioned by the British Army. Weighing between 64 and 66 tons, the Conqueror stood as a symbol of scale and mechanized power during the early Cold War, measuring up to 12 meters in total length with the main gun facing forward. Its hull stretched 7.72 meters long, nearly 4 meters wide, and over 3 meters high, truly a giant on the battlefield. The crew of 4, commander, gunner, loader, radio operator, and driver, operated with the relatively cramped confines of a thickly armed and complex structure. The Conqueror's firepower came from its large 120mm L1A2 main gun, a British design based on the American M58 cannon used on the M103 tank. This rifled gun used a two-part ammunition system with separate projectile and propellant charge, improving operational safety and storage, but limiting the onboard ammo to just 35 rounds. Of these, the ready rack held 8 rounds immediately available for firing. The tank could fire 2 primary types of ammunition: APDS, armor-piercing discarding sabot, rounds capable of penetrating up to 474mm of steel at 500 meters, and HECS, high-explosive squash head, rounds designed to demolish thin armor or fortifications. The Conqueror was also equipped with a 2-plane stabilizer, allowing accurate firing on the move. Additionally, it featured 2 coaxial machine guns and 7.62mm anti-aircraft machine gun. The British L3A1 variant of the M1919A4 with an ammunition capacity of up to 3,750 rounds, providing close-range defense. When it came to production, the Conqueror was designed with maximum priority. The front hull armor was a formidable 130mm thick, combined with a 20mm angled plate set at 59 degrees, enhancing ballistic resistance without adding excessive weight. The lower glacis was 76mm thick at a 44-degree slope. The turret, the most vulnerable part, was heavily armored with front plates ranging from 152 to 313mm, while the gun mantle varied between 89 and 200mm. However, the side armor was only 51mm thick, plus 6mm of splinter protection, creating a weak spot that adversaries could exploit. The commander's cupola, although providing excellent visibility, protruded prominently and became an easy target for long-range attacks. In stark contrast to its thick armor and heavy firepower, the Conqueror's mobility was notably limited due to its massive weight. It was powered by a Rolls-Royce Meteor M120 gasoline engine producing 810 horsepower, roughly 12 horsepower per ton, which was low compared to modern tank standards. Its top speed reached just 35 km per hour on good roads, while reverse speed ranged between 12 and 13 km per hour. The operational range was about 160 kilometers, demanding frequent refueling during extended battlefield operations. Still, the Conqueror featured Horstman independent suspension, helping it maintain stability over rough terrain. Yet, its heavy weight and complex design often led to mechanical reliability issues in real-world deployments. One of the Conqueror's groundbreaking features was its advanced fire control system with an independently rotating commander's cupola. This allowed the commander to use a coincidence rangefinder to precisely measure the distance of the target and mechanically adjust the gun's direction without waiting for the gunner to finish firing. As the gunner rotated the gun to a new position, the target was already in the sights, enabling almost instantaneous firing. This commander-gunner coordination is considered one of the earliest examples of the hunter-killer system, a critical foundation for modern fire control in later main battle tanks like the Chieftain and Challenger. The heavy tank Conqueror officially entered service in 1955 and was quickly deployed to West Germany as part of the British Army of the Rhine, BAOR. There, it served exclusively as a long-range fire support vehicle with 9 tanks assigned to each regiment, primarily operating alongside Centurion units. The Conqueror's mission was to destroy Soviet tanks from beyond the Centurion's effective firing range, specifically targeting the IS-3 and T-10 models, which were considered major threats at the time. In combat, the Conqueror was mainly positioned in fixed defensive roles, leveraging its powerful 120mm gun and precise rangefinder to engage enemies at distance. However, its poor mobility, heavy weight, and mechanical reliability issues limited its participation in fast-moving operations. Weak points, such as its large command cupola, thin side armor, and restricted gun depression further reduced its practical combat effectiveness. Despite its strong firepower and impressive turret armor, the Conqueror served only briefly from 1955 to 1966, with a total of 185 units produced. The rapid development of the 105mm L7 gun on the Centurion overshadowed the Conqueror's role, as the Centurion could now defeat enemy armor while being more mobile and easier to maintain. The introduction of the Chieftain tank, combining the best features of both the Centurion and Conqueror, marked the end of the heavy tank era in British armored strategy. The Conqueror's service history, tied to fixed defensive units in West Germany, stands as a testament to a brief transitional phase in armor warfare thinking during the early Cold War. The Conqueror emerged as Britain's swift and decisive response to the threat posed by Soviet heavy tanks after World War II. Armed with a powerful 120mm main gun, one of the most formidable of its era, and an advanced fire control system, the Conqueror represented the pinnacle of British heavy tank design thinking during the early Cold War. Built to engage enemy heavy tanks like the IS-3 and T-10 at superior long-range distances. It also provided crucial support to Centurion tanks on the battlefield. However, this outstanding firepower came with significant trade-offs in design and operation. Weighing over 60 tons, The Conqueror suffered from poor mobility and frequent mechanical issues, while demanding a complex logistics system to maintain its functionality. Its relatively thin side and rear armor, combined with a large command cupola, created vulnerabilities easily exploited in dynamic combat situations. These factors substantially reduce the Conqueror's survivability in multi-dimensional battles, especially in modern warfare scenarios requiring ability and durability. Though its service life lasted just over a decade and it never saw active combat, the Conqueror left a lasting mark on British armor development. It signaled a fundamental shift in design philosophy, from specialized tanks with narrow roles towards the versatile main battle tank (MBT) concept capable of flexibly meeting diverse battlefield demands. The successful upgrade of the Centurion with the effective 105mm L7 gun, alongside the introduction of the Chieftain, combining the best features of both the Conqueror and Centurion, demonstrated how the British Army learned invaluable lessons from the strengths and limitations of the Conqueror. Thus, the Conqueror stands not only as an advanced Cold War heavy tank, but also as a symbol of a crucial transformation in armed warfare history, paving the way for a new generation of more versatile and effective tanks.